Why were you gone so long, Virgil? He turned to regard her, and it struck him that there was no judgment in her tone. She honestly wanted to know. Old times meant when I bought myself from the Milfords, I had to leave home. Couldn't stay here in Georgia. It was against the law. My, Mandy put a hand to her heart. What an awful conundrum. What'd she mean to say? A problem. You had your wife and daughter here, and you were forced to leave them. Up over the rise, the small pine forest town of Crumpton rose before them, and he felt a slight kink in his stomach work itself out. It was old times. Just best not to talk on it. It had to impact you. She laid her light touch on his arm, like a butterfly, and her eyes stared deep into his. For just that moment in time, he believed there was someone on the earth who felt as he felt about things, someone he could talk to. He shook it off. Fool talk. Maybe, but if I thought about it all the time, I wouldn't be able to do what I have to do for my family, including you. Well, of course. She drew her hand back, and sadness came into his heart. Just for a second. He had to be firm to show her how to be in the South. Since you're my family, he pulled the horses to a stop before they could enter the Crumpton environs. You do what I say. Keep your eyes down to the ground. Going slow. Say, yes, sir, no, sir. Yes, ma'am, no, ma'am. Although he doubted they would run into any women. Women on Saturdays were at home, getting ready for church. Fine, Virgil. Let me see you do it. He swiveled to face March, and her bright black button eyes shifted away from him to the side of the wagon. That fine, March. Now you. Me? Whatever for? Because I say you got to. Do it. He had never before noticed the light brown glints in her eyes, but he did now because they disappeared. Had he solved a puzzle? Those glints were what made her eyes so merry and happy when she looked out on the world. Now, because of what he said and where they were, they disappeared. She dropped her gaze and tilted her head toward the floorboard of the wagon. Good. Keep it that way, and we just might make it through this day. Taking up the reins again, Virgil guided the horses into town and tied them up at the general store. He helped Mandy down from the seat, offered his arm, and escorted her into the store. Surprisingly, there were no customers inside. The town, built out of white pine, wasn't nothing more special than Milford. They just had things Milford didn't, a store and a paper and turpentine mill. No smithy, though. That was what he had to offer. He stood near the front door, Mandy on his arm, and waited. He put a hand on March's shoulder. Please be still. Don't move, daughter. Because he prayed it, he guessed. She was still, for once. Amen. The white-mustached man behind the counter beckoned them forward. Virgil, what are you doing here so early this morning? Who is this?